So you think about this, hey, the market starts tanking in a period of 3 or 4 or 5 days. It went down and down and down and down. And to take the advice and say, hey, get out early, and then shoot, it comes back and I missed just that one day. I'm like, oh, I made a mistake. I should have stayed in the market.
Hi, I'm Bridget Sullivan Ramal. I own a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm John Shearer. I own a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. And before we get going talking about holding through a bear market or not, I want to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, help other people find this information on YouTube. And with that, Bridget, I just wanted to talk. We had a comment a few episodes ago, and I thought it was really interesting. And the person said, basically, holding through a bear market is going to ruin your retirement. It's terrible advice. You should get out as early as possible. And I really appreciated that comment. I thought, that's interesting that I'll hear that from people, and it certainly sounds like good advice. As we've talked about on previous episodes, that's not what we do in practice, but I'm just curious when you heard that or read that and you say, listen, why not get out as early as possible? What's your reaction to that? How do you think about that? And then we can talk about how we talk about it with clients and what it looks like.
Yeah, I've got a few different levels of reaction. So my first reaction is I don't agree with that. Okay. But then if I were to put on my financial planner hat and think about it a little bit more, I'd say, what are your goals? Like, because that could be the perfect device for one person. And then they
Hmm,
probably don't believe in
interesting.
belong in the market in the first place. Like, so if you don't want to handle the market going down and you have enough money so that you don't need to make higher returns, it's probably totally a true statement. Like, I don't like taking risk. I have plenty of money. This is ruining my retirement. I did have one client who signed up because her in 2008 her portfolio went down by 10%. Now, most advisors would consider that a success in that
When the
situation.
market's down 40, yeah.
Exactly. But she didn't want to lose any money. And she had plenty of money. She wasn't spending it all. She was a super saver and really just didn't like either saving but spending money on taxes or losing money in the stock market. Those are tied in her brain. So it's like, fine, if you have enough money, what are your goals? You got enough money, you don't need it, you don't need the sacrifice. The other 99.9% of the people do want to make money in the stock, to make some money in the stock market, will
Or
use
need to, right?
need to. They don't want to cut their spending to the level where they don't need to. And so then that advice, I wouldn't go for that advice. Tell me
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. If it's okay, I'll circle back on the client you described, right? And it is like the 1%, right? Like most people know, but in this person, but should that person have been in the stock market in the first place?
No.
Right? So
Yeah.
then it wouldn't I would argue that it wouldn't apply. I go, listen, get out early. Well, no, get out before it goes
Yeah.
down, right?
Right.
Don't even be in, right? Like that sort of thing. And that is again not the right answer for most people, but I think that is legitimate. On the other side, when you talk, get out, when things go bad, get out early. First of all, I appreciate the sentiment, right? Like, oh no, yeah, that'd be awesome if we had a crystal ball and could figure out what to do in advance of it actually happening, right? Get out, as soon as it starts to go down, get out and then get back in before it comes back up, right? But we all know that that sounds a lot better. It's like it feels like that should be the thing to do, but in reality, that the enactment of that is so difficult. And it reminded me of something here. I'll pull it up on the screen here, but I was just reading recently, so here, middle of 2025, we've had some ups and downs this year in the stock market, right? Perhaps you've read about that a little bit. And so there was an article in it, and it had a really neat graphic that said, listen, what happened if you got out, the market went down, you got out and missed, I think it was April 10th here, or April 9th. The market was up 10% in one day or 9.5% or something ridiculous. Like a one day just, doesn't and that was back when the whole thing with tariffs were first coming in, and there was a lot of just market movement. And the point is, for me anyway, Bridget, is not See what happens when if you miss the best day in the market. Everybody's probably seen those. If you miss the best 10 days, you're so far underperforming. And the black line, what if you got out and missed that day, right? So you think about this. Hey, the market starts tanking in a period of 3 or 4 or 5 days. It went down and down and down and down. And to take the advice and say, hey, get out early, and then shoot, it comes back and I missed just that one day. I'm like, oh, I made a mistake. I should have stayed in the market, right? Look at that difference just in a short time period. How fast and how far did we get behind, right? Like 8% in less than 6 months, right? How do you ever make that up? And does the
Right.
market go up 9% or 10% on a regular basis? Of course not. But it's that sort of thing that we've actually seen this literally happen here, in the first half of the year. And to me, when you take a look at that and go, oh, it's not like, oh, I got out and I made a colossal, month or years long mistake of being out of the market. This is just in that things turn so quickly, the things that we think, the things that we can sort of predict, well, everybody else that's in the market knows this stuff, right? I mean, you think about how much money is spent on Wall Street and the truly really smart people, right? I mean, the PhDs that spend their lives studying this, and you and I as financial planners or anybody else that what you read Wall Street Journal, we think we know more than what those folks know as far as what's going on behind the scenes, sort of a thing. And it's the unexpected things. It's not the expected things that hurt us. It's those unexpected things that we just don't know. And that graphic really, for me, speaks to, oh yeah, you get ahead? Yep, but you can get ahead by playing blackjack as well. The problem is when you get behind, it's impossible to catch up. So why would you take that risk?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would just say that it's been, from my mind, proven to be random. So you can't predict a random event. Like, sure, after the fact, we'll put a story on it.
Right.
Like after the fact, it's like, oh, tariffs were going to be as bad as we thought they were.
Right. And we'll explain it. It all makes sense of what happened, what we should have known, right? Like when you tell that story, like, oh yeah, here's the reason. Well,
So
wait a
in
minute.
retrospect, there's some story
Yeah.
in it. It's as you're going along, you don't know. It's random. As you're experiencing it, it's random. So you can't, no one can predict it, but we can predict that the market is volatile and there are random ups and downs. So if your emotional system is not set up for it and you can't handle it, then you should have less in the stock market or focus on, most people have, a lot of their money in bonds or interest earning investments. Some people have all their money in the stock market. And
Hmm.
so then that's going to be a wild ride. And sometimes you don't even know you want to get off the ride until you're at the top of the roller coaster or at the
Right.
bottom of the roller
Right.
coaster. And I didn't know this. So what we really recommend is a mixed approach. And to look at the other stuff that hasn't gone down 10% in one day or up, 20% that like isn't having
Right.
those big, to like help say, okay, my stock portfolio is down today, but the rest of the stuff is kind of boring and didn't even notice it. And I'm certainly not hearing about it on the news in some sort of alarming fashion. Let me just change my focus a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that idea up. It's not like you should have all of your money probably in stocks, right? Again, your mileage may vary, but
Right.
for a typical, I mean, oftentimes we'll have clients, I'm sure you do as well, that have half in stocks and half in bonds, right? Or 40%, 60%, one way or another. And you go, oh my gosh, the market is going down, right? And when we have these conversations, I said, oh, you mean the bond market? Well, no, 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 the S&P 500, right? That's what's on the news all the time. And you go, oh, hang on a second. That's right. And sometimes it can be literally just, oh, I get, you get kind of freaked out. I mean, this is your life savings. And you go, wait a minute, I got half of it in things that aren't going, they're not going up too much, but they're not going down too much, right? Oh, they're kind of holding steady. Like, oh, take a breath and remember that side of things, right? It's not easy to do that. And so part of it is take a look at that, that side of it. And the other thing that you made me think about as you're describing those things is that it's not if the market goes down, what do we do?
Right.
It's when the market goes down. The market is going to go down. It's going to go down 10 or 15 or 20 or 30% at some point. what are we going to do? And then being proactive rather than saying, oh, now what do we do? You go, hey, when it goes down 20%, here's how it's going to look. And looking at it now, right, as we're recording this, the market's doing pretty well. You go, all right, what happens when it goes down 25%? How do you feel about that? Are you, oh, wait a minute. No, 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 I don't like, my $1 million is worth 750, right? You put it in real terms, you go, oh yeah, it goes down 25%. I don't care. Let's think about that in advance. By
Right.
waiting until it goes down and then reacting, you just put yourself behind the eight ball.
Right. And if you're thinking, my $1 million is now 750, if your $1 million is really 50-50, half stocks and half bonds, it's not going to be 750. It'll be whatever my
825 or whatever the math is on it, right? Right.
which is not happy. That's not necessarily a happy space, but it's not as dire as being at 750.
Yep, that's great. Hey, I think that's a great place to wrap things up here. Again, I'm John Shear. I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel. I've got a family financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. Jeff and I are both taking clients, but if you live in a different area of the country and want to find an advisor in your area that thinks like we do, you can check out acplanners.org. It's a nonprofit organization of planners that kind of think a lot like us. And don't forget to subscribe.